So we've talked about local maximums and local minimums. Now we're going to talk about absolute maximums and absolute minimums. The absolute maximum is the y value of the highest point on the graph. And these can occur at a local maximum or at an endpoint, or it might not exist. An absolute minimum is the y value of the lowest point on the graph, and this can occur at a local min or an endpoint, or it might not exist. Number 5 wants us to find the local maximums and local minimums, as well as the absolute maximums and absolute minimums. Now the local maximums and local minimums, that's where it changes from increasing to decreasing and decreasing to increasing. The absolute maximums and absolute minimums, that is the highest point and the lowest point on the graph. So this would be our local maximums. And if I report that, it's just in ordered pair notation. The local minimum is here. It's not here. So this is because we need where it's changing from decreasing to increasing to be a local minimum. So it needs to be the bottom of a bowl, whereas this one is not changing, it's just like an endpoint. So the local minimum would be 0, 0. Now the absolute maximum, this is just the highest point on the graph, which is 16. And the absolute minimum, that is the lowest point in the graph, which would be right there, which is going to be, I would say 10, negative 10. So a local maximum can be an absolute maximum. A local minimum can be an absolute minimum, but they don't have to be. Let's look at number 7. So the local max would be right here. So that's at about, let's say, negative 2.5 and 5.5. Local minimum would be right there. That's at about 1, negative 1.5. Absolute maximum, well, I would say that this is the highest point in the graph, but it's not because there's an arrow here, which means it keeps going. So there actually is none, or you could say infinity, because it keeps going up forever. Same with the absolute minimum. This looks like it's the lowest point in the graph, or you could even say this point at negative 3 is, but because it's an arrow, it means it keeps going. So this would be none, or you could say negative infinity.